There was a time when I read The Hunger Games for the first time and thought these were thrilling books, and the author had quite a fabulous imagination for thinking about such an imaginary world. But reading the prequels 20 years later makes me realize that these are not imaginary worlds, but rather cautionary tales. For those who don't know, The Hunger Games and its prequels are about an imaginary country called Panem, where there are 12 districts and one capital. And the children from the 12 districts where the poorer population reside are forced to participate in games every year, which results in the deaths of all except one victor, while the capital where the rich reside watches these games for their entertainment. So the books are basically a commentary on the rich entertaining themselves by burning the world while regular people fight for scraps. Sound familiar? This is the story of Hamish Abernathy and his Hunger Games, which was the 50th Hunger Games. When I first read about Hamish in the original trilogy, I thought he was an alcoholic because he couldn't cope with his Hunger Games and what he had to do during his Hunger Games. And I could not have been more wrong. If you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, prepare yourself to be absolutely devastated. Hamid's story is probably one of the most tragic stories in this world, apart from maybe Finnick's story. There was another prequel book to The Hunger Games called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is President Snow's story. And I read both the books back to back recently for the first time, and I realized what a brilliant author Suzanne Collins is. She has managed to draw parallels to both President Snow and Hamish so beautifully without being totally direct about it. President Snow and Hamish had very similar childhoods, and through their stories, Suzanne Collins has managed to show that being evil is a choice. Another thing about Suzanne Collins that I think is absolutely genius is her ability to write dystopian novels as thrillers. Usually, when I read a dystopian novel, I have to take a break every 50 pages just to digest the horrors that are happening in the book. Whereas when I read all the Hunger Games books, I was so keen on knowing what happens that I had to get through it very quickly. And it is only afterwards, after I read the book and I sat with what I felt about the book, that I realized all the messages that were hidden in the book. I would love to know if you have read Sunrise on the Reaping and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and how you felt about it, and how you feel it compares to the original trilogy. Until next time, bye.